Queen Elizabeth II, born Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, was Queen of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms from February 1952 until her recent passing in 2022. When her father, King George VI, died of a heart attack in 1952, the 25-year-old Elizabeth instantaneously became Queen of 7 independent Commonwealth countries: the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon, now known as Sri Lanka. Queen Elizabeth was served by more than 170 prime ministers across her realms and has reigned for a total of 70 years and 214 days, the longest rule of any British monarch and the longest verified reign of any female sovereign in history. The Queen's state funeral, held on September 2022, was the first state funeral in Britain in a long time, since that of Winston Churchill in 1965 after the World War. In this video, we will look into the life and legacy of the longest reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II. Welcome to Lifehack Academy. On this channel, we study the habits and routines of successful people, world-class performers and athletes, hoping to make better versions of ourselves each day. Before we get into it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click on the notification bell icon. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary was born in Mayfair, London on April 21, 1926 as the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, the late King George VI, and Queen Elizabeth. Princess Elizabeth was privately educated at home and began to undertake public duties during the Second World War, serving in the Auxiliary Territorial Service at the age of 17 and making her first solo public appearance on a visit to the Grenadier Guards, of which she has been appointed colonel the previous year. Based on a published biography of Elizabeth and her only sibling Margaret in the book The Little Princesses, Lilibet, as what she was called by her close family, was described as a lover of horses and dogs, and was very orderly with an amazing attitude of responsibility towards others. The greatest Briton of all time, the late British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, described the young Princess Elizabeth as quite a character, having an air of authority and reflectiveness within her, which was astonishing. When Britain entered the Second World War in September 1939, Lord Hailsham suggested that the Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret be evacuated to Canada to avoid the scary frequent aerial bombings of London by Hitler's Luftwaffe planes. Instead, the royal family decided to stay together at Balmoral Castle in Scotland and eventually moved to Windsor, where the 14-year-old Elizabeth made her first radio broadcast, comforting children who had been evacuated from the cities.
All of us children who are still at home think continually of our friends and relations who have gone overseas, who have traveled thousands of miles to find a wartime home and a kindly welcome in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the United States of America.
As Elizabeth was approaching her 18th birthday, with a sense of duty stronger than ever before, the British Parliament changed the law to allow her to serve as one of 5 councillors of state in the event of her father's incapacity or absence abroad, and was also appointed as honorary junior commander at the women's branch of the British Army, where she also trained to work as a driver and mechanic. At the end of the war in Europe, Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret mingled and celebrated incognito with the crowds in the streets of London on Victory in Europe Day in 1945. When the Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip had just returned to their Kenyan home at Sagana Lodge after a tour of Australia and New Zealand, Philip received word of the king's death and was immediately tasked with the responsibility of breaking the news to the new queen. Elizabeth chose to retain her regnal name and was proclaimed queen throughout her realms, hastily returning to the United Kingdom and moving into Buckingham Palace with Prince Philip. As the new queen, Elizabeth instituted new practices which included meeting ordinary members of the public and overseeing the hastened decolonization process of Africa and the Caribbean, giving back independence to 20 countries from Britain, weakening the country's ties to its former empire, but opening a new door into the European community, a goal which was achieved in 1973. Elizabeth was crowned on June 2, 1953 in Westminster Abbey, wearing a gown embroidered with the floral emblems of the Commonwealth countries on her instruction, and was the first coronation to be televised to the world. Elizabeth met her future husband, Prince Philip Mountbatten of Greece and Denmark, in 1934, exchanging letters with him in her teenage years and eventually marrying him on November 20, 1947, at Westminster Abbey when she was 21 years old. The couple gave birth to 4 children named Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward, wherein Charles III has become the current king of the United Kingdom and 14 other realms, after Queen Elizabeth's passing in September 2022. Queen Elizabeth was a talented and accomplished equestrian, loving horses so much since a young age, which has been recently found out to have contributed to her famously sharp mind and wits. Close friends and acquaintances have also shared many stories about the Queen having a sharp wit and dry sense of humor, often seen and photographed laughing and enjoying a good joke in public. Although this has only been a short summary of Her late Majesty's life and service to the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, Queen Elizabeth remained loved and adored by masses from all over the globe until her recent death in 2022. Hopefully you liked this video and found value in its content. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn the notifications on, and I will see you on the next video.